Yo, this is Minister Jordan coming back at you today to talk to you about when is it time to let go. And I'm coming from Matthew chapter 5, verse 32, which states, "But I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, causeth her to commit adultery, and whoso marry her that is divorced committeth adultery." Today I want to talk to you about understanding when it's time to let people and let things go out your life, because you have to understand the times and seasons that allotted to you to enjoy those things or to learn from those things. Because in a relationship, one of the key things that God does is when he allows people in our life is he allows us to learn from them and to sharpen each other, because the Bible says, so does iron sharpen iron, so does man sharpen the countenance of another man. So you have to understand the importance of that person in your life, and you also have to understand the importance of when it's time to move on from that person, because on one aspect you have time to learn, and on the other aspect you have time to apply. So when it comes time to fulfilling your purpose, fulfilling your destiny, or to get married, or to bond and have a true friend, you have to understand the dynamics of your relationship and understand, is this person purposed in my life, or is this person passing through my life? So let's get into this, and so I can help you to understand further when it's time to let people go or let things go out your life. Let's look at this first context of what God says. If you put away your wife, saving for the cause of fornication, or basically what God is saying is, if you divorce your wife for any other reason except fornication, that's the only reason there's you can divorce her. So we have to look at the context of how can you fornicate and you're married, because the context is adultery. So I'm gonna ask you, how can you fornicate and you married? Because when we look at this closer, let's evaluate what fornication is. Fornication is basically having sex outside of marriage, or having sex when you're not committed to the individual. Adultery is having sex outside of marriage once you're married. What is the key context in that? One, you're having sex and you have no commitment or no affiliation or no true loyalty or faithfulness to this person. The other one, you do. So what is God really saying when he says, except for fornication, that's the only way you can divorce your wife? But if she commits adultery, keep her. What is God really saying? Because you have to understand the context of what he is saying when he says fornication is this. When God gives you a purpose in your life, when you come to marriage and God gives you a purpose in your life to fulfill, if your wife is not committed to helping you fulfill your purpose, those are the grounds to divorce her, or those are the grounds to letting her go. It's not saying that y'all won't make mistakes. It's not saying that y'all won't have disagreements. It's not saying that y'all won't understand each other at times, but saying that to you, if she's not fully committed to the purpose of whatever God has destined for your life, that's when it's time to move on. And I'm not just talking about a relationship or marriage. I'm talking about in friendships, because a lot of times we make the mistake of holding on to people that's we supposed to let go in our life, because they're not helping us or elevating us to the next level. They're only keeping us where we at. And the problem with that is, it's not saying that they're a bad person, but if a person is in your life that's causing you to miss the opportunity that you really want, that person is really no good in your life, because they're ultimately blocking you from reaching your destination or reaching your goal. Having somebody in your life that's cool, or having somebody that makes you laugh in your life is cool. And I'm not saying anything against the person, but you have to understand, when it comes to relationship, can this person elevate you to the next level? Can this person push you forward to the next level? Can this person help sharpen your countenance, as I stated earlier, so you can be successful in the places and the things that God has for you? So you have to understand, when you look at when it's time to let go, or when it's time to sever ties with things, that is the basis of severing ties with everything, whether it be your job, whether it be your son, whether it be your daughter, whether it be your wife, whether it be anything, whether it be shoes, whether it be a car. Because you have to understand, if it's no longer prompting you and helping you, it's pulling you down. And the fact of the matter is that people really don't want to accept the fact that people pull you down, or people cause you to lose focus. Losing focus is just as bad as not fulfilling your destiny, because at the end of the day, you have to understand, if a person or anything is in your life that's distracting you, How can you ever succeed and you constantly distracted? How can you ever succeed when you don't fully understand the question or fully understand the answer that you're looking for? You can't. So you have to understand and you have to look at the concept of fornication or look at the concept of who is really committed and who is really dedicated to you. Because in any relationship, you have to be able to draw that fine line of, is this person helping me or is this person hurting me? Now, I'm going to give you an example. In the 15th chapter of Luke, it talks about the prodigal son, where the prodigal son got mad at his daddy and he did all these things towards his daddy out of ignorance and out of lack of learning. So instead of his daddy continuing to argue, or instead of his daddy continuing to put up with him, he said, fine, I'm gonna give you exactly what you want. He gave his son his portion of his portion of his heir, or what things that belong to him, and he sent him on about his way. And in the main context of when the prodigal son realized that he could go home, it never said he found God. It said he found himself, because instead of the father constantly arguing with him and trying to force a point on him to get him to live a certain way, he allowed him to learn on his own to be able to recognize how good he had it at home and how good he really had it in life. So when a prodigal son lost everything, he didn't find God. He found himself, and he found sense to say, hey, I live better than this at my daddy's house. My servants at my daddy's house live better than this, and they're servants. So let me go back home as a servant, and I can live better than what I'm living now. And the whole context is he realized when it was time to sever ties with the people that he had in life, he realized it was time to sever ties with the things that he was doing in his life. Because a lot of times we don't look at that and we don't understand how things are holding us back. We only look at it from a physical aspect and not the mental aspect. We look at it from a mental aspect and not the spiritual aspect. We look at it solely from a spiritual aspect and not a physical aspect. So you have to be able to understand in all aspects how things are blessing you or benefiting you, or how things are cursing you or holding you back. Because a lot of times you look at the context of what helping and what hurting is. If you never get the opportunity, how can you be successful? You can't. So you have to understand, if people are in your life or if things are in your life that is blocking you from fulfilling your purpose, it's time to let them go. No matter how long you've been knowing them, no matter how cool they are, no matter how silly you think they are, no matter what type of person you are, because it's not saying that they're a bad person. It's saying basically that, hey, you can't get me to the next level, so I need to drop you, or I need to get away from you in order to make it to the next level. Now, the problem with that is not with all cases, but in most scenarios, when we hang around people or when we get attached to things so much, our emotions get attached to it. And that's what makes it hard for us to basically understand, what makes it hard for us to let things go. Because when we looking at it from their standpoint, we looking at, oh, this is my friend, he's been there for me, or this is my friend, she's been there for me, I love her, they have shown me love in hard situations, but that has nothing to do with understanding to say, hey, friend, you will always be my friend. You will always be my brother. You will always be my sister. But I need to get to the next level to be a better person for myself. You can't help me, so I need to sever ties with you. And it's not necessarily saying that you're severing the friendship. You're severing the association, or you're severing the time spent with this person, so you're able to elevate yourself into who you really want to be, who God really wants you to be, to learn the things that God really wants you to know, so you can enjoy life, so you can have life more abundantly as God promised you. So when you look at the different contexts of how we look at things or how we handle things, we have to understand the basis of what I'm saying is, when it's time to let go, you're going to know, because it's no longer going to serve a purpose with you. It's no longer going to help benefit you, or it's no longer going to help you grow as a person. And like I say, and like I stated before, it's not saying that the person or the thing is a bad thing. It's just saying that it keeps you in the wrong mind frame, or it keeps you in the wrong parameters or areas in your life that God is telling you to pump away from. So you have to understand that wholeheartedly to know when it's time to let go. Because another concept or another thing that I often hear people say is, I'm waiting on God to bless me. Well, I prayed for a new car. I prayed for a new house. I prayed for new clothes. I prayed for more money. I prayed for more of all these things. But when God said, okay, if you want a new house, sell your old house. And you go back and talk to this same person and say, well, I'm not giving up my old house. I'm going to keep that, but I'm going to get a new house. And God is saying, no, if you want a new house, give up your old house. And because we have got attached to it, and because we have had great memories in this house, we don't want to give it up. Because we love our job and it's convenient for us, and we don't want to go to a new job that challenges us. Guess what? We hold on to the old job and think they're going to give us a raise. And God is saying, no, get hired at this new company. They're going to pay you the money that you want and that you desire, that you're asking me for, but you have to let this old job go. So you can't be stuck in complacency, and you can't be content in the areas or the aspects of your life, because you have to understand ultimately the goal and the area which you're trying to get to in your life. So saying that to you, you have to be able to discern the time. You have to be able to discern the lesson. You have to be able to discern all these things that God is trying to teach you, when God is telling you to say, hey, it's a time to be in this person's life. Now it's a time to let this person go. It is a time to be in this thing life, or it's a time to accumulate all these clothes. It's a time to accumulate all these cars. Now it's the time to let this stuff go, because I'm trying to prompt you to the next level. I'm trying to prompt you to the next phase in your life, because as we grow older, our mind change, our body change, our mentality change, our health change, our basic strength change. Everything changes. So if everything is changing in our life, you have to change with your health. You have to change with your body. You have to change with your mentality. You have to change with your emotions. You have to change with your wife. You have to change with your husband. You have to change with the job. And you have to understand change is going to come. So you have to be able to adapt and change and accept the changes that's going to come. Now, the problem always comes when you don't want to let go of the past. That's why you see people stuck in the past, or that's why you see people stuck in their ways, because they're trying to hold on to something that's no longer relevant. A lot of times today, and I'm going to use this example that I heard this old guy tell me, and he was much older than me, and he asked me a question, and he said, could you ever imagine seeing a black president? And I said, yes. And he immediately jumped on the defense and said, how could you say that? Man, with everything that's going on, I went through the civil rights movement. I went through this, I went through that. I could never see that. I'm happy that we have a black president. And I had to correct him, and I stopped him and said, sir, well, I never went through that. So my outlook is different for you. So when I explained to him that, hey, I never experienced a white only water fountain, white only bathroom. I can go in the bathroom I want to go in, as long as it's a man bathroom. I never experienced it, so my outlook is different. And he had to accept it. And he said, yeah, you're right. I never looked at it from your standpoint. But my point is that if I was stuck in one way, I could only see it in black and white. And I was trying to explain to him that, hey, based off my era, I can see a white president. I can see a black president. I can see a Chinese president. I can see a Mexican president. I can see what I want to see, because that is my interpretation of my era. So he had to accept it, but he understood the concept of where I'm coming from, because he had to ultimately realize that I didn't see what he saw. I didn't grow up in the era that he grew up in. So he had to allow his level of understanding to come and meet my level of understanding. So when you talk about moving to the next level, that is one of the most important things that you have to be able to do, is be able to understand and recognize, be able to know when it's time to let go, be able to understand and know when it's time to move forward, when it's time to grasp and take hold of your destiny, because that is the main reason why people miss out on the blessings of God. That is the main reason why people miss out in fulfilling their purpose in life, because they want to hold on to things that God is telling them to let go. In relationships, I'm going to throw this out there to you. A lot of times I hear this a lot. A woman meets a guy treats him bad, dogs her out. The next guy comes along, catch all the hell that the bad guy did to him, and she has a defense up so high that when a good guy comes, you run him away. But the reality of the situation is, if you learn from your mistakes, or if you learn what type of guy you really wanted, for one, you want to never put yourself in this situation, and for two, even if you get out the situation, you would have learned and would have been willing to accept the guy that God has for you, because ultimately the devil is trying to scar, the devil is trying to taint you, the devil is trying to do all these things to keep you trapped in one mind frame and one narrow parameter in your life, that you don't move and that you won't see things a different way. So when those things happen to you, you have to be able to understand why they're happening, when they're happening, understand how to get out this situation, understand and stay focused on your ultimate goal is, hey, if you're a woman and a guy treated you bad, you can't blame him for not knowing how to love you, because love ain't the problem. He just didn't know how to treat you. That don't mean the next man don't know how to treat you. That don't mean every man don't know how to treat you. Fellas, just because you got out of a bad relationship, just because one woman didn't know how to treat you, don't mean every woman don't know how to treat you. What is being said is, hey, you went through that relationship, you need to learn from it. You need to understand when it's time to move forward. Because when God give you all these signs in a relationship, all these hints, all these everything that you, all these questions that you ask God, is this the right person for me? He's showing you that in your face. You just have to be able to block your emotions and look with your spiritual eye, look with your mentality, or look with your mindset and understand, is this person really for you? Is this person over here really for you? But in saying it to you, you have to understand when it's time to let go, it's time to let go. You have to understand when it's time to move forward, it's time to move forward. When it's time to prepare yourself, when it's time for you to grasp life, go grasp life. Don't be afraid. Don't let fear stop you. Don't let depression, don't let anger, don't let anything stop you from cutting things loose out your life so you can enjoy life and have life more abundantly. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you like. Subscribe. I'll talk to y'all later.